car's underway. Stamps his authority once again.
My word, this could go wrong.
On the brakes, goodness me, what a launch.
Look at that.
It just all comes down to this. Welcome back to the Almost Pro Championship. We are here for our season number 11. And my name's Joseph Black. I'll take you through all of the action today alongside Kyle SW, who of course owns the league as well. We're getting ready to get ourselves underway for another season and get cracking. It feels weird to be back, but Kyle, welcome back. How are we feeling ahead of this season?
Thanks very much, Joseph. Yeah, very happy to be back. It feels like it's been forever. Of course, we've got a whole new rule set now. So, new cars, some new drivers as well. We've had some recruits over the off season, some off season moves as well. So we've had some moves, we've had some new drivers, we've had people leave. We'll of course go through all that as we go through the broadcast. But very excited to be back. A 14 race calendar. Of course, we'll go through that calendar as well very shortly. The calendar is on screen now. So here is your calendar. I'll quickly run you through that. So we're starting today at Bahrain. It's quite a regular season opener for the last few seasons, something that we know very well in real life. And here in APC, we then head over to the Middle East. We stay in the Middle East with Saudi Arabia and Jeddah, a very tight street circuit, a track we've not been to in a little while here in the league. Another one that we've not been to in a little while is Miami. So very much looking forward to seeing what these drivers are going to do around that tricky circuit on the 1st September before we stay in North America and head to Montreal in Canada on the 8th of September. Before heading into Europe then for Austria, where we take place, the first sprint will take place, and then we'll move on to Silverstone, then Belgium, then the Netherlands, then Monza, and then a brand new track for real life and the league, that being the Madrid, where we'll take do another sprint before going back to the USA. We'll do Circuit of the Americas, a track that you'll know very, very well, before we're heading down to Mexico City, Brazil, and finishing the season. First time finishing the season not in Abu Dhabi, it will be in Qatar.
I forgot to put the loop on, but we'll be able to get that one back up for you in just a couple of moments' time. I'm very much looking forward to this calendar that, of course, we've got on our hands here today. It should be very good fun to watch these drivers compete. There we go, to watch these drivers compete around these circuits. I'm not sure if you've been able to take a look at the Madrid circuit. I certainly haven't. So, is that something you've been able to check out?
A little look. I've not driven any of the tracks on the update yet of the 2026 season edition, so I know nothing about the cars at all, so I'll be learning as we go along. But yeah, the track I have seen, and there was actually a rushed update after the game came out that I'm aware of, because there's a chicane where you were able to absolutely cheese it. You could completely just drive over it, straight line it, and pick up a lot of lap time. And that was something that a lot of drivers were taking advantage of. So the developers, EA / Codemasters, sent out a patch. And the patch basically was 2 massive sausage curbs. And that stopped the drivers doing that. So, yeah, I'm very aware of that. And I know it's not very popular with the drivers at the moment. I don't know if that's just because there's some teething issues with the track and there's going to be some updates or some changes as we go along. Of course, we've never driven it in real life. In fact, I've seen some news today, some pictures. It doesn't even look ready for the inaugural race in real life F1. So I'm sure as we get more familiar with it in real life, then perhaps it will translate to the game and it will be of a state that the drivers actually enjoy it.
Let's hope so. And, well, in the meantime, we can go down to the track and watch our first on-track action of our season number 11. Just throwing it over then to the Bahrain International Circuit, and we've got 11 drivers on our lineup here tonight. We will run through later on our lineups for the whole season. This is going to be our lineup for round 1, all of these 11 drivers, and there are a few names in here. Who have you got your eyes on in terms of the new drivers in contention?
I think it's hard to say. I mean, this is the first season that Alexis has gone full-time, so we'd be silly to count her out as a potential championship protagonist. We saw how well she did while she was reserved last season. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she's going to do as a full-time driver. Knight Rider, I've seen, we had a off-season social challenge at Knight Rider to part in, and he showed a lot of pace. So that's another one I'm looking out for. And Arta Bain, another one who was part of that social challenge. And yeah, looked absolutely rapid. So I think out of the new drivers, Artabain, I think is going to do it very, very well. Out of the known quantities, I think, I definitely think Alexis is going to give Chenky a run for his money.
Yep, I would certainly agree. We will, of course, wait and see. But whilst we do wait for the drivers to have their first runs on the board, we're going to take a look at the lineups that we've got out there. Not necessarily tonight, but throughout the course of this season. So, of course, Angus Jones and Ollie Corlett will be taking to the Aston Martins. When you look at them on screen, that will be Buzzball, Wright, and, well, in fact, there's going to be one of them that's reserving in tonight for Ollie Corlett. So I'm not quite sure which one's which, but we will work that out in time. Connor Stewart-Woodard and Regan Harding are both in the Audis. Alexis Mason, Owen Boldero are in the Cadillacs. Then we've got Andrew Chenkovan and Paige Daniels. They will be in the Ferraris, and Paige Daniels not here tonight. Ellen Hoffenk and Brian Moore will be the McLaren lineup. We're going to have a full lineup there. We've also got a full lineup in the Audis and in the Cadillacs, so the brand new cars racing out there right now. Joni Tevelin and Paul Garung in the Red Bulls, and neither of them here tonight. Brian Moore and Regan Harding in the Williams, and well, we will see those drivers competing. It looks like Regan Harding is in actually two different teams, but yeah, we'll see how that one ends up going. And then we have a look at our reserves, and Burt Welly, Ollie Matthews and Drew Bliss right in there.
Yeah, so there's actually no one in the Williams, so that is the fault of whoever does the graphics. I've no idea who does those. That person should be sacked immediately. Yeah, Brian Moore is in. So basically, the Williams, that was what the team was at the end of last season. They both decided to go their separate ways. They haven't fallen out, but I know Regan, was very keen to jump into the Audi seat, and Brian decided to join Ellen as there was a space there with Ellen. So there isn't actually anybody at Williams for this season. Currently, of course, if you're watching and you want to get involved, please do join the APC Discord and throw an application. As you can see, a few positions available. But as you say, brand new team Cadillac on the grid. This could be a formidable pairing. I think a good possible team that could take the team championship potentially this season. Burt Welly jumping in for Ollie Corlett today. Ollie Corlett is on holiday. And that's sleeping, so it's gone. But I think that was all basically. Yeah, Drew Bliss, reserving, but that's a name who is back for the first time in a couple of seasons. Of course, has two teams championships to his name in APC, and both of those were with a guy named Kyle S.
Yes, it was indeed. Wonder who that will be. Wonder why he doesn't race anymore. Maybe because he'd be at the back. Owen Boldero around the final few corners, but he's seen his run to the end, and we've got our first runs on the board, and it will be that Red Bull on top of the order at the moment, and well, it'll be Alexis Mason on the front row alongside them right now. But Autobahn is one of those drivers. I'm going to keep calling him Autobahn because his name is very similar to the motorway in Germany, which is Autobahn. I'd imagine that's intentional, but yeah, he's going to be right up the top, and Alexis Mason alongside with Chenkovan a few tenths off in third place, but a very, very quick time indeed from the Red Bull to find themselves at the very top of this order. That's a really impressive start to the season, and they're going to hope to try to keep that pace up and stay about 4 tenths ahead of Alexis Mason. So a very, very good start indeed. And hey, we never know, they could be challenged later on, but that is certainly a lap time that the Red Bull will be proud of. Watching a few more drivers out there on the circuits. Brian Moore has had some new developments in the off-season, now has a real wheel. And, well, it's been provided for him by yours truly, who's sacrificed my wheel for Brian's purposes. It's my old one. I've not retired just yet, although pretty much have, because I haven't actually competed a race on this game. But, yeah, so hopefully he'll be, with that new machinery, he'll be finding himself nearer the top.
I'd love to get to a race sometime, you know. I mean, I'm not technically retired, but I'm a little way off the pace, I am sure. Although, and you knew I was going to bring it up at some point in this session here today, I was at the Formula E on the weekend, as you know, because you sent me a screenshot of my lap time on the Sims there, where I was faster than Duncan Hoffland for a while, but of course Duncan Hoffland clearly felt a bit intimidated by my time and ended up going back to the Sims a little later on in the day and then taking that time away from me. So I'm really not happy about that, as I could claim for at least a good few hours that I was faster than an esports driver, but yeah, I wasn't able to keep that going. I wasn't able to get back on the Sims either. I don't know how he managed to flag himself another go because they didn't let me have another go. But I guess when you've got a back in the room from the one team, you can get anything you want. But back to today, a lot of fast times out there. I mean, Artabain, as I say, looking very quick. So Alexis Mason up there, Artabain there, and it's Angus. That's the one. Angus is there as well. So it looks like there's going to be some close racing this today. I mean, Andrea Chenkovan, you can't rule him out putting a faster time, and you know what he's like. He sometimes looks like he's going to be in the back, in the mix somewhere as Angus goes even quicker. Looks like he's going to be in the mix somewhere in the middle, and then all of a sudden he comes out with another time towards the end of the session and absolutely annihilates the field. So I'm not counting much against just yet, but this could be a fun race ahead.
It really could indeed. It's looking like it's going to be a very, very close one between a few of the drivers, and well, at the moment it will be Angus just a couple of thousandths ahead of Alexis Mason in third and fourth place at the moment. So Alexis has dropped down as Andrea Chenkovan has made his way up to the front row of the field. He's gone to within a tenth and a half of the Red Bull at the top's time, and we'll see whether it's going to be a challenge or whether that is just going to be the development of the track and the evolution of it to make it a little bit quicker, to see that Chenkovan has made it closer to Juni Tevlin. But you do feel as though that Andrea Chenkovan is still the favourite because, of course, the Almost Pro Championship legend is now has more titles than anybody else. It took him a while to get past Stuart Towers, but of course it was always going to take him a while because Stuart Towers has multiple titles. So Chenkovan pretty much running in there straight away and picking it up as soon as he possibly could. It was a really, really intimidating time. So he may well feel that he is going to be under pressure here, at least for the first round of this season. But he has been challenged before.
He has, and yeah, as you say, he's the first four-time champion here in ABC, all done consecutively as well, might I add. So fantastic showing. He was joint on championships with Stuart Towers last time out, who has 3, but they'll both always be legends in our eyes. And that just does remind me actually to speak about our drivers who have departed then. So Daniel Riley has decided to go off season. He's become a staple of ABC over the last few seasons, been involved in many an incident, none that I particularly remember. And Ethan Shackleton is another big leader of ABC. He's obviously been here for quite a while. He was the third longest serving member. Well, once I retired, he became the second longest serving member in ABC behind Connor Stewart Woodard. So it's a shame. The reason he left is because he's not enjoying the cars. He said these cars aren't great, doesn't enjoy driving, and if F1 27 is better, he may well return. But bit of a shame to see him not here. But of course, Paige is picking up that championship winning seat, although she's not turned up this week, and she didn't, as far as we're aware, she was meant to be. So no idea what's happened to Paige. Hopefully we'll see her very, very soon. I'm sure we'll be indeed. But as it currently stands, it looks like it's business as normal with the drivers towards the back of the grid.
Certainly seems to be. Regan Harding and Connor Stewart Wood are very close to each other on the circuit, as you would expect, as Ellen Belink is going to come to the line. And, well, she's going to go up to 6th place. Not particularly happy with the cars is the McLaren driver. Hasn't really enjoyed the start of this game cycle, but now that we're getting into APC season, she might give it a little bit more time and give it a little bit more focus to try to get used to those cars. We're going to ride on board then with the Red Bull, and we're going to see just how that time is being found at the moment by Juni, and heading through the first sector, just trying to clip every single apex and trying to ride every single curve. That's pretty much what you have to do through this, and it's going to be exactly the same first sector as the Red Bull driver set before with their 127.882. Heading down towards the next couple of corners, it's going to be into the wall, and out of the session is going to go Juni. That's really not what he would have wanted, and Tevlin already out of this session. Was looking very, very well set for pole, but now is going to be under pressure.
I mean, with 6 minutes left to go, it's not quite going to pay off that way. So I'm sure it's not intentional, but yeah, that will put a few drivers off there. That would have been a heart and a mouth moment for the drivers who were coming up on him. I believe it was Brian Moore or Ellen who was approaching him there, but plenty of time still to go for everybody else. But yeah, unfortunate. So he's not going to be able to improve. He's got a great time in so far, so it may not be an issue, but if all the other drivers, including Chenky and Gus and Alexis, start getting faster, he's going to be a little bit nervous. But plenty of that's Regan currently on the chase. Just get out of the way, perhaps. It looks like he was just out of the way. But Andrew Chenkovan then on a lap in the middle sector. Not quite sure where he is currently on a lap, as I don't have the data up in front of me at the moment. I'll try and fix that a little bit later. But he'll be hoping with Artabain, which I believe it's pronounced. I have no idea how you pronounce that. Currently out of the session, that he will be able to capitalise. He's going to go through the long left-hander here. Very easy to lose the back end of the car here, but he's nailed it perfectly, as you expect from the four-time champion here. And as he crosses the timing line after Sector 2, he is 1.6 tenths up. That is, I think, just about enough. It's enough. It's going to be enough to just get ahead then of Yorny. But as he goes through the third sector, then through the detection line there, which means nothing in quali, and around the final corner, he's going to run up to the line. Is it going to be enough to take the provisional pole position as it stands? It isn't. No. So he's got a lot closer, and that is 3 thousandths of a second. That really confused me for a minute there. I was like, surely he's jumped up. No, he's within 3 thousandths of a second, and Yorny is going to see that and breathe a big sigh of relief then. But with 4.5 minutes left to go, can one of the other drivers have a go at him, or can Chenky get in, get some fresh tyres on, and go again?
Well, Andrew Chenkovan was improving by 1/4 of a second in the first sector. So lost 6/10 of a second, or 600ths even of a second in the second sector, and then another 3 in the third, as into the pits is going to come. For the Aston Martin of Angus Jones, he doesn't feel as though that lap was good enough. Even though he braked for the pit lane, he was still 3/10 up, so would have been challenging for Poland. This may well be a 3-car fight for the very top. Alexis Mason could involve herself and make it a 4-car fight as well, but then there's about 3/10 back to Owen Boldero and another 10th back to Ellen Berlink in 6th place. And Lucas Erasini down in 7th at the moment. He won't want to drop down into the kind of pack of where everybody else is at the moment. We'll want to keep fighting it up at the top order, but we will have to wait and see what these drivers are able to do. Am I right in saying, by the way, that is Angus Jones? Or is it Burt Welly in that 3rd place?
Oh, wait, yes. Oh, good. People got to stop changing their names. That's really confusing. Apologies. Yeah, I think Knight Rider, apologies, is Angus Jones, and it's Burt Welly. It's Buzz all right. Okay. I mean, I guess that's the most Burt thing I've ever. Yeah, Burt Welly in 3rd place. So apologies for calling that wrong on stream. If you've been watching there and getting very confused, it's Burt Welly in 3rd, who is fitting in.
He's just clarified as well.
Oh, is he on the chat? Yeah. So yeah, that's my bad. I think I've confused you and everybody else there. Yes, you're right. But Angus Jones in 9th, Burt Welly in 3rd. But everyone's in the pits apart from Angus Jones, who is now out on his out lap.
Yep, out on his out lap indeed, and is going around. I think he may well do 2 laps before he gets himself ready. It will scrub the tyres, yes, but it will also mean that car is slightly lighter, and you do have quite a high limit in terms of, because you know you're only going to do 3 laps realistically. It gives you at least 4.7, I believe, is the absolute minimum you can take out for a quali lap. So he will be trying to burn those tyres, or not trying to burn those tyres, but burn the fuel. He will be burning the tyres unintentionally, and he's going to get ready to go again. This is going to be the start of his lap, though, so we'll see whether this is actually going to be his final push lap, in fact, from Angus Jones at the moment. Through the first corner, he's going to brake quite late and is going to run a little bit wide, so might not get the apex speed that he wants out of the corner. This is not looking like a push lap for the rider currently, with the 1:29 at 1:96 on his lap time. Everybody else is going to join him, so he's still going to be the lead car onto the final runs, but he's going to be going onto them a significant distance behind.
Yeah, absolutely right. It's different strategies for different drivers. Some feel like they need more time, some feel like they need a bit more. Oh, that's really good time from the session there. Is that in the pit lane? It is in the pit lane. So he feels like he can't go any quicker, and that's the best he's going to get out of it. Like, it's quite close when you think about it. I mean, 2.1 seconds, don't get me wrong, between 1st and 11th there is a big gap. But, I mean, we've seen bigger field spreads than that in ABC before, and I think Brian Moore, as you say, new to a wheel. This is his first season with a wheel. Oh, by the way, he found the screw, just to let you know. So he did claim that the screw was missing, but he did find it. It turns out it had all been sent. But yeah, first time on the wheel, and he'll be hoping to really be able to capitalise. He's been doing a lot of practice, from what I understand. Connor, no practice at all, as far as I'm aware. He's never really been one to practice, so it's not usually surprising. He's usually so far down the order, but hopefully he'll improve a little bit. But not far off Angus Jones and Regan. I think if Connor can hang around Regan's pace, I think he'd be quite happy with that. But as you said, it's Angus Jones, not Burtwelly, who is starting a lap then, and he will be the first to do so. I think it's a tall order, big ask for him to get anywhere near the leaders, but half a second is the difference between him and sixth position. So I'm sure if he can get himself in and around the minute back, he'll be more than happy with that.
He will be. I think he's going to be aiming for that kind of 6th or 7th place where Ellen and Luca currently reside at the moment. 0.015 up. I didn't mean to do that. Don't comment on it as he heads through the first sector now. There is going to be yellow flags out of the final corner as his teammate is going to have a little bit of a slowdown. Of course, only his teammate for tonight, Burtwelly, because he is going to be reserving. It's going to be the only time this season, according to him, that he's going to be able to race, unfortunately. So for Burtwelly, this is going to be a last chance saloon. So whilst he goes off to uni. Checkered flag is waved, so only just crossed the beam in time, and it will be Angus to take us on to the end of our first laps. And at the moment, he is going to improve. He's going to be trying to challenge to get into the 28 lap times. That's the target at the moment for the Aston Martin, who heads through and touches that second sector split and is going to be down by a 10th, so lost a decent bit of time, but he might have just saved himself up for that final sector. Going down that straight right down the middle of the circuit might not be the benefit that he was finding, and that might be why he's tried to save his battery for the last segment of the racetrack. Backing out of the lap then is going to go Angus, so he's not going to improve on that time. What is Connor Stewart-Woodard going to do? Nothing, because he's been able to invalidate that lap time. Brian Moore will be the next one to the line, and he'll be followed by Cadillac. Brian's going to come up to it. Is he going to improve? Yes, he is, but it's not an improvement in terms of position. The finish line for Owen Boldero as well, who's not improved, and Lucas Erasini jumps up to the third row of the grid. Andrea Chenkovan jumps up to the top of the order, and that is going to be a good clutch lap time right at the very end of the session. Ellen Belink is going to go into fifth place, and Alexis Mason not improving, but was improving in that final sector in the end. Lost a lot of time in the first two, gained it all back in the third, and jumped up through third place. And then Burtwelly has invalidated, so that is going to be your order. It's going to be Andrea Chenkovan leading the way, and, well, is it fair to say parity restored?
Never bet against the four-time champion, eh? He's always pulls it out when you least expect it, or right at the very end when you think it's almost done. He pulls it out. Not a big margin though, so hopefully some good race pace incoming from the people behind. That purple second sector, 37.806 for Andrew Chenkovan. That one, a purple third sector from Alexis Mason, 21.537 in the third sector. Yes, so great times from the both of those. But can anyone challenge Shenki as we go into the race?
We will see indeed. Andrew Chenkovan taking that pole position, and it will be Yerny alongside him on the front row, and Alexis Mason in third. Burtwelly will find himself lining up in fourth place, and Ellen Belink in fifth. Owen Boldero in sixth, and Lucas Erasini finds himself in seventh after losing a place right at the very end. Regan Harding, and then it will be Angus Jones, Connor Stewart-Woodard, and Brian Moore to round out the field. We're going to go back just to the lineups just briefly to recap what we've seen from those drivers so far, and maybe we've seen some of the early contenders for the title.
I mean, you will need Tevelin. You looking at that kind of pace, you absolutely cannot rule him out for this season. It's going to be a formidable driver in that Red Bull. Paired up with Paul Garong as well. We've seen the good pace from Paul Garong in previous seasons. Not sure why Paul's not here today. Was expected to be here as well. So, but yeah, another team that to look out for. So I think, the Cadillacs, as a team, as a pairing, that team's championship looks very, very strong. But can Alexis do enough to take on Andrea Chenkovan? Looks good from that qualifying session. It's very, very possible. Only half a second, less than half a second behind. But as we say, Yorni Tevelin 1.3, so 0.139 behind Andrea Chenkovan there. So closest competitor as it currently stands. And I mean, we didn't get to see if Yorni could put a faster time in. Of course, he crashed out. So hopefully that doesn't mean he's prone to mistakes and starts spinning out in the race session. But we'll have to go wait and see. Brian Moore currently propping up the back of the field there, but 1,000th behind the car ahead, which is who's the car ahead? I think that's Connor, isn't it? Yeah, it's Connor Stewart-Woodard just ahead of him. So them two neck and neck once again. They were teammates last season. It was great to see that team dynamic. But they're both within 4/10 of Angus Jones, and Angus Jones not far behind Regan Harding.
All right, there, Crofty, with your 4/1000ths or whatever it was. Yeah, it's a weird thing that he kind of does. I don't really understand it, but either way, I know that I've been prone to it a couple of times, so maybe I just can't talk at all about
What
it.
did I do wrong? Is it just basic maths, no?
Well, it would be 4/1000ths, not 4/1000ths. Anyway, I have been working in the background to try to get something sorted, and well, I think I might have good news for everybody who is watching on with the stream. I think you're aware of what this is going to be, and well, we're going to head on to the formation lap in a moment's notice. But before we do that, right, it's working.
Made it work.
It's working. Wonderful. That was intentionally just trying to build the drama, but yeah, it should be a very good race indeed. I've been working away in the background to try to get it sorted, and just as I get it sorted, the drivers are going to get themselves ready to go to green flag racing. They will be going to, well, it's going to be, I believe, 27 laps around Bahrain, and it looks as though Andrew Chenkovan is going to be that driver to beat. But we do have that front row. Who do you reckon? A two-word answer, because they've only got two names. Who's going to come out on top?
I'm going to do it. I'm going to put it on Yorny. Tevlin. New name to get used to. Yorny Tevlin. I'm gonna go for it. I think as long as he doesn't make the same mistake that he made in that qualifying session and spins it into the wall, I think he's got a good chance of a win here.
Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right. I think that could be the case, as well, we are going to go down to the track now. You get a brief glimpse. You can get a full look later, maybe. Well, if the chat's good and if the chat pops off, who knows? But we're going to go down to the track, and I will fix that after the race. But we are likely to see two-stop strategies here today from all of the drivers, and we will have a look at what they're doing now. It's going to be softs for one of our drivers on the front row, at least. It'll be Andrea Chenkovan on the mediums. It's going to be Alexis Mason on the hards in third place, but it will be Yoni Tevelin on the softs, and then Regan Harding, also the other driver on the softs. Everybody else on the mediums. And how tenable do you think a two-stop strategy or a one-stop strategy is?
From my experience, one stop is actually quite easy at Bahrain, but a lot has changed since I've driven. Obviously, I have done one season on F1 25 in the original version of it, with pre-update. So a lot's changed, a lot of updates, new cars, new rules, new strategies, new everything. So I don't know if a one-stop's still possible. I think with these cars, it may well be a two-stop. Like you say, we've got two drivers on the soft tyres, so Yorny and Regan, they're both going to be pretty rapid off the line at the start of this one, but no doubt Andrew Chenkovan tends to always get the strategy right. I don't know how he does it, but he tends to always get it right. So I think medium's probably the way to go, but let's not actually miss the fact that it's Alexis Mason. And I can't wait to find out which one is going to come off on top.
Yes, we will see indeed who's going to be able to come out on top. And, well, I've been kicked out of the lobby. I don't know if you have, but I certainly have. And
it's just you. I'm just going to let the race start, and I will invite you back in.
In the meantime, if you could do some radio commentary whilst we try to get me back in.
I will do some radio commentary quickly, but yes, we have actually gone green now then. And it is, of course, the soft tyre runner of Yorny who has taken the lead and will hold it through turn one. Alexis Mason has not fallen backwards with those hard tyres. In fact, she looks like the quickest person on track at the moment, which is a bit of a crazy sentence to say. It's Burt Welly who is holding up the pack, corking the bottle then in fourth position, almost a second behind Alexis already. The top three already running away. The McLarens, oh, Regan's gone straight into the wall already. No, it's not Regan, it's Connor, apologies. 3-second time penalty for his troubles. No idea what happened there. That was a very odd one indeed. And that means Connor is all the way to the back. It's going to be, Brian Moore also running off the track there. So struggles all round for the bottom two. But as it currently stands, Yorny is ahead of Andrew Chenkovan. Andrew Chenkovan keeping him honest though. And Burt Welly has been able to catch up to the back of Alexis Mason. So all the gaps have closed back up now. Regan in sixth position, of course, looking pretty strong as well. But as it currently stands, looks like the Cadillacs are going to be very racy this race. Now I'm going to pause that while I get you back into the session. There you are. And I will go back and carry that on. Purple sector 1, obviously, for Yorny, as he is the track car who is furthest forward on track. That gap opening back up now. So Alexis Mason starting to struggle a little bit on those hard tyres. And Andrew Chenkovan and Yorni Tevelin are starting to run away. It looks like Bert Welly is going to want to get past Alexis very, very soon. He'll want to pass Alexis before Alexis' teammate Owen Boldero gets past him. He's looking pretty racy here as well on the medium tyre. So that is up the inside then into turn 1 for Bert Welly. Alexis tries to hold it around the outside, not able to do so. Actually, she is able to do so, and then that becomes the inside for turn 4, side by side as we go down the back straight here. Straight line mode is activated, and it looks like Bert Welly is going to be able to hold on to this one on the newer, softer compound medium tyres here. But no, actually, she gets back past Bert, and now that has invited Owen Boldero into the mix. Owen Boldero going to try and get past Bert, and he's going to throw it down turn 1. Going to go hit his own teammate there. He's going to be spun by his own teammate as he goes into the side of Alexis Mason. Not working out well together. They are in the voice chat together, and I would expect a lot more from the two of them, and to have coordinated that a little bit better, but that wasn't able to happen, and that means that Owen Boldero is now down in 9th position, only in front of the struggling Ryan Moore and Connor Stewart Woodard, who has already boxed.
Yes, they have indeed, and there's going to be fighting Ellen Berlink and Regan Harding side by side. Regan on the inside line, and with the softer compounder tyre, he's able to make the most of that one and dive down the inside into the penultimate corner. Maybe a move on the exit from Ellen Berlink, maybe a move further back from Lucas Erasini as well, both of them very close together, but we are going to be seeing maybe a fight for the race lead. Chenkovan got within a tenth of a second. As soon as I've cut away, there's going to be moves further back. Ellen Berlink is back past Regan Harding, and well, there's going to be a move as well, as there's going to be a swap between Jones and Boldero. Into the pits then is not going to be anybody this lap around us. There's going to be an inside line move for Chenkovan into the first corner, and will not quite make his way through. Side by side as well for third place even between Alexis Mason and between the Aston Martin of Bert Welly, who looks to the inside of turn 4. Doesn't go for the move, stays in behind. Ellen Berlink is going to put Regan Harding under pressure. If she does not go for the move, then through comes Jones. He tries to look to the inside of 4. Can't quite get through, so tries to go side by side in the S's, but no dice, unfortunately.
While that was all going on, Lucas Seracini tried to put his car at the inside. I can't quite see what car that was. I got the camera on him just as the incident was happening, so if you are watching post live, you'll see the replay of that happening and you'll see what car it was. But as he tried to do so, fortunately, his rear end stepped out and he was straight into the wall. So unfortunate for Lucas Seracini. I spoke to him a little bit earlier and he was talking about potentially looking at podiums this season. Of course, he looked racy last season and had a couple of podiums where unfortunately he could have had them, but he just overdrove the car. Owen Boldero through on Angus Jones then, and will be hunting down Ellen ahead and Regan Harding. So he looks like he's going to come back up the order here a little bit, but it's going to be hard for him to reach that podium now. They're all looking very fast up the top there, and as Chenky says, the fastest lap of the race. Yorni Tevelin is now starting to fall back out of that 1 second window. Of course, we must mention, actually, if we get that for a second, Owen Boldero is going past Ellen. Will he ever go on Regan as well as we go into turn 1? He's not. He's going to hold back for now. I think that's sensible. Ellen looking to maybe try and come back here as we go through the first sector. Will Owen Boldero have the pace and have the exit out of the corner there too? Have a go on Regan Harding as we head down to the turn 4, I believe. Bahrain went there, but he went through turn 4. And that is 2 positions then for Owen Boldero in the same section of the track. And who's that then? Is that Ellen Berlink? It is Ellen Berlink. Ellen's had an issue on her own, I believe, although Angus Jones is also there, so they've probably come together somewhere at the back there. We didn't see it as we was watching a masterclass from Owen Boldero, but that is Ellen down to 7th and Angus Jones down to 8th.
Is indeed. Swaps all around the order, and Ellen Berlink having gone around, unfortunately, the McLaren is going to want to climb back up the order, knowing that she's got the pace. However, she's not enjoying the game so far, so that is a partial reason as to why the McLaren is struggling at the moment, just not finding the consistency in the car that she would want, and she's going to hope to build that one back up and get herself going once again to catch up to Regan Harding. 3 seconds off the back of Regan, who in the pre-season chats that we had with the drivers said that he came second in the off-season championship, and he would have liked to take the victory, but he still found it a lot of fun. As for Bahrain, it's his second worst track behind Zandvoort, and he's going to try a one-stop, so we'll see how that one is going to work out for him, especially as he's going to be on the soft compound tyres. But yeah, it's not going to be great for him today so far if he is going to aim for that one-stop strategy. Those tyres will be screaming. Yellow flags out because Luca Seracini is into the wall, and that's going to be definitely not a one-stop strategy for the Mercedes. Top 5 is the aim for Regan, by the way, and he's going to hope that he can lift and coast all the way through the races. Luca Seracini, trying to reverse back onto the track, has been disqualified.
It is so unfortunate for Luca Seracini. It is a bit of an issue with this game, but everybody knows the issues there, so not an excuse, unfortunately, for him, but that is unfortunate. That shouldn't happen. That shouldn't be a thing that the game does, but unfortunately it is. So unfortunate for Luca Seracini there. He was hoping for much better than that today, but it's not going to be. And we have seen this, haven't we, from Luca Seracini in previous seasons. He looks like he's going to be racing. He's going to do a very good job in the season, and then he puts it into the wall himself. And let's not forget, he put himself into the wall there before that disqualification happened, as Gus Jones had a look up the inside of Ellen, but nothing doing there on this lap. But yeah, it's just unfortunate for Luca. I would like to say he's quite unlucky, but he's also mistake prone. So hopefully he'll work on that through the season. He will hopefully come back and we'll see some more podiums from Luca and see him actually hold on to those. There's another inside move for Angus Jones on Ellen Hoffink there. And Ellen isn't going to pass this time, but will Ellen better come back up the back straight? One thing that should be mentioned for anybody who's new to this regulation of car, no more DRS. Everybody gets their front wing open, everybody gets their rear wing open, and then the front wing open. Down the two straights, you can see on the mini-map on the bottom right of your screen, the purple sections are your straight line mode sections, where everybody can open those wings. But we do have overtake boost mode, where your boost is a little bit more powerful. And to activate that, you had to do what you used to have to do for DRS and be within 1 second of the car ahead at the detection line, which is the blue line, as you can see on the bottom right of the mini-map, as Ellen goes into the back then of Angus Jones through the middle sector. Didn't expect Angus to go that slowly, it would seem. But yeah, good fight here for 7th position. Regan currently on the back of his friend Owen Baldero. A lot of work to do if he's going to catch up to the back of Bert Welly, who is currently hassling. Was hassling his team. What's happened to Yorny here? I missed that. Yorny is currently in 3rd position. I thought Yorny was still in 2nd. So it's actually Alexis Mason now who's in 2nd. Now that Alexis has been let free on those hard tyres, will she have enough pace in hand to catch Andrew Checkervan, who's currently running away in the lead?
Yeah, it just looks as though Alexis Mason was able to make that move, and it looks as though it was down into turn 1 where she was later onto the brakes and jumping on through. 3rd place at the moment is going to be not exactly where you want to be, because Andrew Chenkovan is going to break down the field, and it may well be under pressure for that 3rd place. Bert Welly looking around the outside, bit of a lock-up for that Red Bull, and he's going to set himself way off the circuit. I think he was trying to put the Red Bull under pressure and get in his mind. He actually did in the end, but then he also got in his own mind, so just make sure you're making the corner first. As Ellen Belinka is going to retire in the pit lane on lap number 7 of this race. We've still got 22 laps to go, and anything could really happen. We have now everybody pretty much outside of DRS, apart from what it would be DRS range, apart from Bert Welly, and I still think that 1 second window is a good indicator to see how close the drivers are to each other, and at the moment Bert Welly looking like he's going to be able to put the Red Bull under pressure right now. Connor Stewart-Woodard jumps up into 9th place. Everybody who finishes will get points here today, and he's going to be 23 seconds off of the back of Brian Moore. But crucially, he is still going. He hasn't given up on the race. He will continue himself on.
Yes, which is more than you can say for Ellen. As we've mentioned it many times on stream here, the both of us that are not a fan of retiring in the pit lane, there's plenty of time to go. Ellen was ahead of 2 cars, let's not forget as well. So good points. You know, Ellen is here for the full season, so you'd expect her to just try to get some good points here and then come back stronger as we go on through the season, assuming she's not just completely left the league, which is something else that's happened. But as you say, being in that 1 second is a good indicator. But it's also overtake boost mode in this regulation of cars is extremely important. If you don't get that boost mode, you will struggle to get anywhere near the car ahead, and you'll just start falling back the order. Then that's Bert Welly then, who's going to jump into the final podium position as it currently stands. I know it's a bit early to be speaking about podiums on lap number 8, but all we need to do is hold on to that now. As my prediction for this race, Yorny is starting to fall backwards down the order now. Then as Regan Harding is going to be the first to pit on a normal strategy, ignoring Connor's already pit, but he of course had that early spin and damage. But this will put Regan all the way back down to 8th position, and that means the Audis will be propping up the back of the grid. But as you say, with Bert going past Yorny there, Yorny is now the only person in the overtake boost mode. And this overtake boost, as we can see, really keeps you on the back of the car ahead. As soon as you fall out, it's extremely, extremely difficult to do anything else, as like DRS was. So it's a good replacement for DRS, I'd say. But it means all the cars can go a little bit faster down the straights. And with the 50-50 power split, having that straight line mode is quite important to ensure that you have enough power to go all the way around the lap.
But he has been closing in on the Cadillac of Alexis Mason in the meantime, and will be about 5 tenths back, and might be 4 tenths back as they exit out of the corner. Indeed it will be, so it's going to be just that little bit closer to Mason for the time being. It's getting a lot closer between these two drivers at the moment, and we may all be seeing fights between them at some point soon. Andrew Chenkvan has checked out of this race so far, and it does feel like a rinse and repeat of the last couple of seasons where he has been able to build up that gap. However, it does feel as though there's a couple of drivers who have that pace. Bert Welly certainly does at the moment. He looks to the outside line of Alexis Mason. Alexis sends herself very deep, doesn't quite make the apex, and so Bert Welly's going to try to come back on the switchback, but can't quite do so. So this battle will continue down to turn number 4. Looks to the outside then. Alexis defends to the inside. Who is later on the brakes? It was Alexis last time. It'll be Alexis again. She holds station, and Bert Welly just tucks in behind.
That's great defending there from Alexis. Let's not forget, Alexis is on the harder compound of tyre, so she'll want to stay ahead of Bert Welly with all that she's got, because at some point there will be a switch and Alexis will be faster than Bert Welly and Andrea Chenkovan. But the more they fight, the more Andrea Chenkovan is able to run away and nail on this wheel. It looks strong at the moment, but there's still a chance as it currently stands, but not with this fighting. Bert Welly is going to try and come back at Alexis then. As we head into turn 11, it's not going to be enough. Alexis has enough to hold on. As I say, she will do everything to hold on to this position, but who's got the better battery strategy? That's the one thing about this formula of car now. If you're able to save enough battery, and you can see clipping there on Alexis' car, indicated by the red flashing lights, which means Bert was faster through there. But that's probably just a case of Alexis holding it off to this straight. And now look at Yorny. This fighting has brought Yorny back into contention here. So hopefully Alexis has held on to enough battery here. The flashing stops, so that means she is using that battery power to defend. Will Bert Welly or even Yorny capitalise on this? Actually, look, they're all clipping now. So actually, they're all in the same boat. Bert Welly is going to try it around the outside. Alexis brakes a little bit later than Bert would like her to and defends the inside line. Bert will try once again into turn 4. This battle is going to rage on for many laps. Bert's going to try the inside. Alexis tries to cover it off, leaves it too late, but is able to put just enough of her car ahead of Bert so Bert can't get past and is able to defend once again. And it looks like Yorny Tevelin is going to try and come past these when they least expect it.
Yeah, he's just watching and waiting for the time being, which you can understand because of how aggressive this fighting is going to be and how aggressive he's going to feel. This fighting will continue on to be, because of course he doesn't know how to race these other drivers as much as they will know how to race each other. So Alexis Mason and Bert Welly have had many a fight. They know how to race each other. However, when you're a new driver in a league, you start to learn the mannerisms of everybody else pretty quickly, and by race 2, race 3 of the season, he's going to kind of know a little bit more about what these drivers are going to decide to do, where they're going to decide to make moves, etc, etc, whether they're going to be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more passive, or something in between. At the moment, they are both being very, very aggressive indeed, and that's what's being picked up by the driver currently in 4th place. He can see they're being aggressive. He knows that, and he wants to get himself involved in the fight. Down to the inside of the final corner. He's going to get it sealed before they even reach the braking zone, and he jumps up to the podium space, but Bert Welly's going to try to cover off. Into the pit lane comes the Red Bull, and thankfully Bert spotted that late on. However, a 10-second time penalty for Yorny is going to cost him.
Yeah, one thing I'm aware of is Angus Jones is not used to having pit assist off. I'm not sure if it's the same for Yorny, but Yorny has come from... It is Angus's referral. Angus and Ollie Corley, who are friends, have brought Yorny into this league, so it's possible that the league that he runs in also doesn't have the pit assist off. So it's you do struggle finding that hit limiter line with that assist off. There is a line if you run racing line, but it's not that accurate. Some tracks you can break later, some you have to break earlier. So that's unfortunate. It looks like a podium contention for Yorni on those soft tyres. Now switched on to the hard tyres. And checking that's true. That is true. 10 laps on the soft tyres. So unfortunate, I think. I think that could possibly mean no chance at the podium now. But as you say, we're not even halfway through this one yet, so anything can happen. It looks like Burt Welly is still hassling the back of Alexis Mason. So those hard tyres have not come into their own yet, unfortunately. And it looks like Regan is finally catching the back of his friend, his real-life friend, Brian Moore. But I think this will be an easy overtake. But I think he may have stopped just slightly too early.
And Burt Welly, in the meantime, his teammate has picked up the first track limit penalty of the season. And that will, of course, be Angus Jones, who's currently running in 5th place. Andrew Chenkafan does decide to come into the pit lane. I think he's seen all of the drama behind and decides that he doesn't really want to get himself involved in that. So he's going to pit nice and early, and he's going to come out of the pits before those drivers either decide to come into the pit lane or they are scrapping it out on the circuit. He feels as though that's going to be detrimental to his race pace, so is very keen to stay clear of them, and you can understand why, and you can see that that's going to be a massive benefit for him as he's going to come out of the pit lane in 4th place, so it's going to be about 8 tenths or 8 seconds even off of the back of Owen Baldero. Maybe there's going to be a move into the first corner here. Regan Harding under pressure from Ryan Moore, who looks to the inside. Where's Regan going to defend? He's not really got the opportunity. To the inside is going to go Brian, but he breaks that little bit earlier, and through is going to go Regan Harding once again. A few penalties actually have been handed out as Owen Baldero is another one with one Brian Moore and Regan and Connor Stewart Woodard even are going to have those penalties, so not necessarily ideal for them as we're on lap 12 of 29, and the first of our top contenders has dived into the pit lane.
It was a bit early for the mediums, if I'm honest. I felt like you'd go to around sort of lap 13, 14, but again, who am I to tell Andrew Trenkovan what to do? This guy always gets it right, no matter what, and I think it was probably just with the gap he had. I think it must have got to about 8 seconds at that point. With that gap, might as well just play it safe and just come in for a nice early stop. The only thing for him to consider now is Alexis Mason and those hard compound of tyres, because a safety car could save Alexis here as Burt Welly is next to go into the pit lane and come off those medium tyres. But if Alexis runs long and a safety car comes out, it could mean a lot if Alexis can keep the lap times up while on those used tyres. Owen Baldero will also respond then and jump into the pit lane. As it currently stands, Owen's got himself back in a pretty good position here. I mean, it's going to be hard to get on the podium, especially with that penalty. But you can't rule him out at this stage. He does come out behind Yorni, so he's got a little bit of work to do. But as the rest of the field balls into the pits, there's basically everyone. Where will Regan cycle through then once his pit stop phase is done?
We will have a look. At the moment, he's going to jump up to 5th place ahead of Owen Baldero, but Owen will be all over the back of him, and of course, without the assistance of DRS, will be trying to get through other means and newer means that these drivers are starting to learn how to race with and how to race against more crucially. So at the moment, he's going to stay ahead, and he's going to try to, I think, push here to maybe just involve himself in a fight. He knows he's going to pick up points, and it's just about now trying to keep that fight going and have a bit of fun while you're out there on the circuit. Of course, racing is racing, and so you're going to want to go racing. You're not going to want to go racing to just let everybody through, give them the opportunity to have the slipstream and jump on through. You want to go out there and you want to have the opportunity to fight, and when you know you've not really got any you don't really need to take any risks. You can just have that fight there, and when you know that it's kind of going to be, it's an early point in the season, they don't need to worry too much about the points at the moment, so it's going to be a perfect opportunity for him to just chill and have a little bit of fun. Owen Baldero won't see it that way. He'll want to fight his way up the order. He sees his race as potentially up onto the podium, and whilst he's 6 tenths off of the back of Regan Harding for now, you feel as though when he makes his way up to the back of that Audi, he's going to be ready to get through very, very soon with those fresher tyres. Is Regan going to come into the pit lane this lap, having defended and warded off the Cadillac on the previous lap time? No, he's not, but the Cadillac is going to be right under the rear wing. Will look to the inside, will drift across gradually, so Owen Baldero isn't going to have the chance to fight back, and Regan cuts back across. Owen did look to the inside, he had a glimpse, he had another look, but no, backs out, decides not to go for it, and up goes Owen Baldero.
Yeah, let's not forget Regan did pit about 7 laps ago onto the medium tyre, so he'll be running a few more laps yet in this race. I imagine it's an Aldon 2-stop. I think he would be doing a great job if he was able to hold on to these medium tyres until the end. So a 2-stop incoming, but it won't happen just yet. But 9 seconds, just under 10 seconds is the gap to Angus behind. So it'll be a while until Angus comes up on him. And I don't think Regan will be in his way by the time Angus reaches him. Connor Stewart are very much at the back after that early spin, just behind Brian Moore, who is 20 seconds almost behind Angus. So the new wheel not paying off for him just yet, but it's race number 1 of a new era. So anything can happen, and Brian Moore could start. We could potentially be looking at some podiums later in the season. Who knows? Anything can happen. But as it currently stands, big gaps out there. So not a lot of racing action at the moment. We are waiting for Alexis Mason to box so we can see where she cycles to and then what she'll do at the end. Will she go onto some medium tyres soon, or will she push these hards as long as she can and go on to some soft tyres in the hope that she can do enough to come back through the order? I think, I'm not sure what the delta is here, but I think she's going to come out in about 4th position ahead of her teammate Owen Boldero. So it's going to be a big ask to get back on the podium. But if anyone could do it, Alexis could do it.
Yeah, exactly. Alexis Mason has shown that she's had pace, but hasn't quite had the consistency in terms of the availability to fight up there. So this could be a really big season for her in terms of her APC legacy and what she leaves when, of course, she potentially leaves the league or whatever ends up happening. Either way, she's going to be hoping to fight up the top in season 11 and really kick off that legacy, kick off that opportunity with a chance to fight up with the big dogs of the league at the moment, and is currently leading the way. She certainly feels as though this could be her opportunity and this could be her season to go racing right up the very top of the order, and well, she's going to keep trying to duke it out up there. Last time she raced, or since the last time she raced, which was of course the end of the last season, she said that batteries got ruined. That was it. In terms of the differences between the last race and this race, which feels a little bit unfair as it's been 3 months, but either way, she's hoping for a podium this time around. Currently stands on top, but does not have new tyres, so I can see that she's going to drop off, but maybe he's going to fight back. She's certainly putting herself in a good place, and she's not a big fan of Bahrain. She said that under anything else to add, she said, can we change Bahrain for a better track? No. We're going to keep going with Bahrain for the rest of this race weekend, of course, because it is a classic start to the season, and well, we are going to watch these drivers duke it out at what is quite a balanced circuit. In fact, I really like it because it is a mixture of, you've got fast chicanes, you've got a slow hairpin, you've got quite a few straights out there as well. It is a very, very varied one indeed. I do think that Barcelona is a little bit more varied, but when you can't really start the season in real life Formula 1 at least at Barcelona, because it is going to be very cold. So I think this is the right place to start a season, and we have seen that in years gone by.
Yeah, it's the thing I say, very neutral track. It's not overly exciting, but it's not overly bad either. We use this one quite a lot for our trial races, as it really is. It's tricky enough to be able to give people a challenge, but not too hard where, you know, it's easy to go off the track and you struggle. This is a track that I've always struggled at. You've commentated on me here a couple of times in the past, and you'll be very aware of how much I struggle in this track. I don't know why. I can't explain what it is. I just don't seem to be able to have any pace. As I'm saying, talking about pace, 2 fastest sectors as it currently stands for Andrew Chenkovan, who's about to cross the line. I dare say another fastest lap incoming, and there it is, a 1:29.880. So the next fastest lap behind Andrea Chenkovan, I believe everyone's in the 31, so it looks like it's Alexis Mason, 1:31.220. No doubt Alexis may well be able to go at that when she boxes for faster tyres, but as I was saying about the track, yeah, great place to start, of course. In real life, it's been Australia for a while, and we came to Bahrain, and we've headed back to Australia in recent times. Another good place to start, to be honest. It's a decent track. But yeah, if I had my way and I was driving, I wouldn't want Bahrain on the calendar either. But it's got mixed reviews, should we say?
Now that you're not driving, you can't rig the tracks to what you like anymore, because you never quite know what could what could happen at every single track. I think I've been pretty staunch in my support of Australia as a starting circuit, but I don't think that Bahrain is too bad of one as well, especially because in a league race it does test everything, and when you know that the real life drivers are going to be as capable as they are, it does throw something different into the mix around Australia when they're a little bit short of sharpness, and they go to a circuit which is going to test all of their abilities and test their abilities in fast chicanes and abilities to find overtakes. Bahrain a little bit more open, a little bit more in terms of chances to fight, but it is going to be at the same time a bit of a challenge for some of these drivers to contend with, and it's going to test all of your abilities. So if there's anywhere that's going to give you the chance to shake off Russ, it is going to be Bahrain. And yeah, we are going to see these drivers who are going to, whether they like it or not, they're going to be racing around here, and they're going to enjoy the rest of the calendar. I'm hoping more than Alexis will be enjoying this circuit at the moment. 11 laps to go then, and Alexis will be coming to the line to make it 10 very, very soon indeed. But yeah, so coming to the end of this one now, and just having a look at all the other chats we had with the drivers. Another one was with Lucas Aracini. He found Abu Dhabi fun. Don't think he found today as fun as that, and he wasn't quite sure as to how quick he could be here today. Well, the answer is that he was further down in the mid-pack than I think he would have been hoping for.
Yeah, absolutely. Much further down the pack than we'd be hoping for. But speaking of interviews, we did briefly speak to Regan, and I kind of forced him into that interview because he sent me a message and said, Carl, can you mention this stuff in commentary? And I said, I'm only going to mention this stuff in commentary if you do an interview with us. So he did, but he forgot to put all this information in commentary in the interview. So I don't think he quite understood what I meant. But what he wanted me to say, and I know he's recording this stream and he's going to be using it on his YouTube channel. He wanted me to say that he's 2 weeks ago he switched to medium traction control, so that is what he's doing now. As Alexis Mason finally pits, we'll see what tyre she goes on to in a minute. He wanted me to mention that 2 weeks ago he moved to medium traction control, which is running now, so first time in the league that he's running medium traction control. Brand new wheel as well. I do know what wheel it is. I can't remember what it is now. I think it's a Mose or something. And he came, he did come second. He mentioned that. Came second in the social challenge. He actually did back-to-back wins. He did in the F2 cars. He did a sprint win and the feature win, so that was great for him there. And Bahrain is the second worst track, which he did mention. Yeah, so he wanted me to mention that. So there you go, Regan. Next time, say in the interview. But Alexis Mason then rejoins the track in fourth position. Speaking of Regan, Rox is on lap number 19 for the second time. So I believe the only person to be doing a two-stop, no, hold on, it's Connor. Connor, his teammate, did a two-stop, but Connor was forced to do a stop early on due to that damage. But Alexis Mason comes out in fourth position then, 3.8 seconds behind Bert Welly, comfortably ahead of her teammate. I was keeping an eye on that actually, and the gap between her and her teammate, Owen Boldero, was actually getting bigger. So Owen's struggling, it would seem. He's not got that overtake boost mode that we mentioned, which means he's just falling backwards, unfortunately. But Alexis Mason will now use the fresh tyres and will do everything in her power to get on the podium at the very least. But can she even get... What am I saying? Can she even... there's a word that's completely gone out of my head. Well, can she get... I'm just going to say, can she get second position? Because that word has completely escaped me for some reason.
I'll give you the opportunity to think about it, but it's... something that happens quite more often than not for commentators. You might not notice that because sometimes I will scramble and I'll find an alternative word. But it's going to be a good fight for these drivers later on in this race, and a good fight for Alexis Mason, who's 3.2 seconds off the back of Bert Welly at the moment, who in his only appearance of the season is in third place. He'll be happy with that one, but I think he will want to jump up, especially when he's got the opportunity, and also because he knows that he's going to have the pressure from Alexis Mason some point soon. Another driver who named himself, I believe it was P4 Merchant, towards the end of last year was Owen Boldero, or the end of last season. Owen Boldero, who says that he was happy with P3 in the Drivers' Championship after the entire race, and so he was happy to give Ferrari a run for their money alongside Ollie Matthews, who's of course not racing this season, unfortunately, and he's going to be happy with that performance. He's sad to lose Ollie because he was one of his favourite teammates, I believe he mentioned at the end of last year, but yeah, he knows Alexis better than he knows Ollie, so this should give them a chance, although contact where they came together earlier on. Maybe there could be spats within the team already. He has no idea how he's feeling about Bahrain and how he's feeling about the season in general, because it's a completely new regulation of cars and it's more about farming battery than raw pace, and he has no expectations, but he would like to be in the top 5. Currently, that's where he stands, and just to give everybody a tyre update, we have brand new tyres, or pretty much brand new tyres for Regan Harding on the hard, so he's going to take himself to the end of the race. Alexis Mason on the mediums, just one lap on them, and then Andrea Chenkovan, and it will be Yoni on the front row as well, who will be on another set of those hards. So they're going to be the oldest tyres on the grid, them and Connor Stewart-Woodard as well, so they may well go for another pit stop towards the end of this race. But everybody is diving into the pit lane at least once, the majority of them on the same lap, with 7 laps gone in the race, and they're going to be looking to take them to 15 laps of racing on those sets of tyres. And Andrea Chenkovan has taken us on to 21 of 29.
21 of 29. We've not got long to go now then, so it's all going to come to a crescendo very, very soon. Remember that kind of word. I just don't remember the shorter words. But one thing I have failed to mention, as I completely forgot, is that Yorny has that 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So as it currently stands, and there, I was actually just about to mention as well that Burt Welly had 2 warnings, and there's the 3rd one then for Burt. So Burt is now very much off the podium. But, of course, Alexis would want to do this on track. Same for P2 and Yorny. But Yorny very much in the... will be P4 as it currently stands. But Alexis now all over the back of Burt Welly. She'll want to try and have a go into turn 11. It's not going to pay off for her there. We are watching Owen Baldero on the stream. But believe me, there is a battle going on further up the order. But Alexis will try and set herself up, save some battery, and set herself up for the pit straight. Straight line mode is active, and pit boost, not pit boost, the other boost, the overtake boost mode will also be active on Alexis Mason's car as she gets ready on the exit of the final corner, turn number 14 and 15, and she will hope to have enough battery, much more than Burt Welly, to try and mount an overtake towards the end of the straight here. Burt Welly clipping already, so is Alexis. Alexis has the fresher tyres, the better compound of tyres. Will she ever go into turn 1? And that is a nice clean overtake then for Alexis Mason for 3rd position.
It will be indeed. It's going to be a good swap, and we'll see these drivers keep fighting it out there on the road, as I will get rid of the menu now, as I've just spotted that is still on the screen. Burt Welly at the moment trying to fight with Alexis Mason, despite the fact that she is one of only 3 penaltyless drivers on the field, Regan Harding and Andrea Chenkovan. The other ones, Andrea's really driven a perfect race. Qualifying, he took a while to get going, but maybe that was intentional, and now he's been able to get himself going and get himself fighting. 10-second, of course, for Auto Bine, or it's going to be Yoni on that front row, and that's actually going to turn into 13 seconds, as there will be 3 seconds as well for Owen Baldero for Burt Welly, for Burt Welly's teammate Jones, and then we've got Brian Moore with 3 and Connor Stewart-Woodard with 6 at the back of the order. So lots of different penalties to try to factor in at the end of this race. So yeah, Andrea Chenkovan currently holding station, 10 seconds now ahead of 2nd place, and Alexis Mason, as it stands, would jump up to that 2nd place, of course, and well, actually everybody would jump up, barring maybe Owen Baldero at this point in time, barring actually definitely Owen Baldero at this point in time. He would stay in P5, and so he's going to try to close that gap.
I think Owen Baldero is probably going to be the most disappointed out of anyone as it currently stands to be in that 5th position. I think Brian expected to... what's happening there for Yorny? Is Yorny in the pit lane? Yorny is in the pit lane. So he's serving that 10-second penalty. He's going to get rid of it, and he's going to try and go for a mad dash then towards the end of this race. I think he's going to come out ahead of Angus. Angus is currently coming down the long back straight between turns 14 and 15 into the final corner now as it currently stands for Angus. So it's going to be a tight one. I think Angus might actually come past here. So it's going to be a big ask now then for Outer Bay. And it looks like Outer Bay is going to come out just side by side of Angus. Angus has the warmer tyres though. Will he better hold it around the outside of Yorny? Yorny, yeah, has to concede that position. So now that 10-second penalty has gone, but it's going to be a big ask to get back into position. So he was comfortable, I believe, ahead of Owen Baldero. So if he doesn't get at least 4th position, this will be an ultimately bad call for the new driver here in APC. But that promotes Owen Baldero then, as I was saying, disappointed for 5th position. Promotes him into 4th position, so probably a bit more what he expected from this one. Of course, P4 was his favourite position last time out in the last season. Not by any choice of his own. He'd much rather be on the podium every race, but he just didn't have the pace for the 3 drivers ahead of him, it would seem. So, yeah, I think he'd be the most disappointed. I know he's got a lot more pace than that, and he'll be hoping that him and his teammate Alexis can both get enough points to challenge the Indy Team's championship. But as it currently stands, they will take the lead, but not convincingly.
Yeah, not convincingly at all at the moment, and of course it's the early stages of the season, so it's unlikely to be convincing at this point in the season, as around the outside is going to look Yoni as the Red Bull tries to get that move up ahead into the final corner. Is there going to be an opportunity for it? It's later on the brakes for the Aston Martin on the inside line. There's going to be a bit of contact between the two, and in the meantime it's going to be Tevelin who has a look to try to get that exit. Angus Jones won't quite be able to stay with him, but is that going to be front wing damage on that Red Bull? That would be a huge shame if so, and they head down towards turn 1, and in fact there is not going to be front wing damage. Those front wings just look very, very different this year to the last, so I'm still trying to get used to it.
Yeah, they are very different indeed, especially when they flip open. It's very, very odd. But I think Angus needs to be very careful here, because Angus has harder compounder tyres and much older tyres. Angus had those tyres on for 12 laps for Angus. Then there's a 3-second penalty for his trouble. So fighting with the much faster Yorny here is a bit of you're just running your own race at that stage. Yorny's always going to come past you no matter what. So there's no point risking your car and risking a crash when ultimately you're going to end up be behind the car anyway. Past Angus now is Yorny. Yorny will be hoping to close that gap on Owen Baldero with 5 laps remaining, or 4.5 laps remaining. But it's 17 seconds is the gap. It's a big ask. They both got 3 seconds penalties now, so no one's going to gain on penalties. I think with that stop, he must have just killed the tyres. He must have completely deaded off those tyres, because with this current gap, I don't think he's going to catch Owen Baldero. And it's one thing to catch, but it's another thing to pass. So even if he does catch him by some miracle, it's going to be very hard to get past the Cadillac.
Certainly will be, especially because it's ignoring the fact that the Cadillac can defend, and the Cadillac has shown before that he is going to be perfectly capable of defending. So it's going to be interesting indeed to see how this race is going to stack up for those drivers. At the moment, on the final spot of the podium is going to be Burt Welly, and I think that's going to be the most coveted spot. Everybody behind, pretty much everybody behind at least, has challenged for that spot. Nobody behind has been able to really wrangle it into their grasp, and it will be Burt Welly at the moment, just because of the fact that he's not quite quick enough to catch up to Alexis Mason. That's going to be the difference between those drivers. That's the reason that he finds himself in what will be 3rd place, because he's not quite close enough to challenge for 2nd. That is the truth really between those drivers at the moment, and he's going to try to climb his way up and gain that bit of time as he heads throughout the rest of this race. And we've not got long to go in it. It feels like it's flown by, but we are coming towards the latter stages of the first Grand Prix of the season. And we've got 3 more seconds of penalties for Brian Moore, who's actually being caught in the meantime by Connor Stewart-Woodard. He's going to be within a second now, and he'll be challenging for 8th place, and he's now just really trying to close in. He's seen that Brian Moore's now picked up that extra 3-second time penalty, which brings them level in terms of those penalties. That's going to be a promising sign.
It absolutely is. I am keeping an eye on that one. So if anything does happen, we will be able to bring it to you. Actually, it's on the screen now. Connor's hanging around that 1 second mark. I don't know if he's currently got overtake boost. Let me have a little look. He doesn't currently have overtake boost active, so he'll need to stay within this second gap. As it's 6 temps currently, it's a very fast down the straight. Connor burnt a lot of battery there. He's got a lot less, yeah. So Brian Moore is holding on to his battery for defense, where Connor's using it in attack. He's completely depleted the battery now, which is not great on a circuit like this with long straights. You don't want to deplete it, as there's not a lot of opportunities to charge it back up. But as he goes across the detection line now, then 6 temps behind, he will have overtake boost now for the next few laps. As long as he stays within that 1 second, it's a lot easier to do once you've got that overtake boost. 10% battery. Connor's utilising it all again, so he's using it very early down the straights. Very different strategies between the two. Brian Moore still has half of his battery deployment left, so he's clearly holding on to it for defence. But with the overtake boost mode now available on Connor's car, he is going to be a hell of a lot faster as we go on to lap 27 When will this move happen? If it was me personally, I would stay behind him for this lap and just focus on charging the battery. Keep within that time delta. Given that you've got the overtake boost, your car is a hell of a lot faster as he cuts the corner there. Didn't get a penalty for that one. You got very lucky. No warning. Apologies for that one. That was what I meant to say. So yeah, I would just charge. I would charge, and have a go at Brian on the next lap. But Connor clearly isn't listening to me as he's now burning as we go into the middle, turn number 10 now. Gets the overtake done, but at what cost? Because Brian Moore now has got full battery to be deployed, but he's not going to utilise it just yet. Connor's going to get a position for now, but as we go into the third sector, Brian Moore will likely fight this one back.
He will indeed, and well, maybe he's taking the different definition of the word charge out there, where he's trying to charge his way through the field and climb his way further up. At the moment, that appears to be the race strategy for him as he chases in late on somebody who is becoming his real old rival here. They have become really good drivers and really close together riders, these two, and Brian Moore sends it into the final corner. He is going to make it, but on the exit, Connor Stewart-Woodard is going to come back, especially because we know that he is going to deplete that battery as he heads down through there. They will continue on down towards turn 1. Who's going to get that edge as they head down to that first braking zone on the lap? And Connor is going to back out, and it will be Brian Moore to take us on to what will be the penultimate lap for these drivers. But Andrei Chenkovan has one more lap to go, and he may well catch up to these two right here.
One thing to mention, I believe I got it on the replay cams. Brian Moore stuck it up the inside of turn as he approached turn number 14. Connor backed out, which meant that when he approached the detection line for overtake mode, he was actually slightly behind. So that meant that Connor's now got the overtake mode again this lap, and Brian doesn't. Now, Connor, hopefully he's learned from his mistakes, and he just uses this lap to charge that battery to 100%, because Brian is basically on 100%. Connor needs to make sure he's got the same, so that he can attack on the final lap. But Connor, again, is not listening to me, and he's utilising all of his battery down the straight in the second sector, and it hasn't even paid off. He's used all that battery for no reason, as Brian was able to sweep it around the outside as he has a lot more battery on his car. Connor will have overtake mode once again on the next lap as he will be behind Brian at the line. But it's probably a little bit too late now as he's used too much of his battery on that lap. And this is the challenge for this season. This is the challenge. It's hard. Oh, it's not the final lap, is it? They've got another lap to go. Apologies. It's the challenge of getting that battery management right. I mean, that was a bit of a thing to look out for last season, but it's even more so the case this season. But I don't think Connor's quite grasped that yet.
It's ever increasingly crucial for these drivers, and don't worry, he can be harsh on him because he's his brother. We head on to the final lap now with Andrei Chenkovan leading the way, and he's just put in the most Andrei Chenkovan performance that we have ever seen, I think, and he's just dominated from start to finish. Whilst he didn't quite have the pace early on in qualifying, he didn't need it. He was holding it in reserve, and now he's able to maximise that pace and maximise the advantage that he has at the top of the field to make the most of it. As I say, it's one of the most Andrei Chenkovan has ever Andrei Chenkovan, and he's through the first sector now to come to the end of it, and he's coasting his way to the victory. May well lap these drivers ahead of him that are fighting Brian Moore and Connor Stewart-Woodard as they go, but if he doesn't, then I'm sure it's going to be no skin off his nose. I'm sure he's not going to be bothered by that one at all, because Andrei Chenkovan, the reason he just keeps relentlessly winning is because he keeps being unbothered. None of the drivers around him are affecting him in any way, shape or form. He can just take that, and he can take it all into his stride. He's one of the most mature drivers. He is definitely the most mature driver in this series at the moment, because of course everybody's trying to develop themselves, and as a four-time champion now, he is very much developed and ready to race with the best of them. Around the final couple of corners he will come. He's not going to come through and lap the two, fighting it out for the bottom echelons of the points, but he will come through to the line very, very shortly to take the checkered flag and take the victory for the first round of this season. It's been rinse and repeat for Andrei Chenkovan here today, as once again he shows that he is the best driver in this series. And around the final corner he is going to come. The Ferrari kicks off his campaign with perfection here in Bahrain, and that is the first win of, I'm sure, many throughout the course of the season. Alexis Mason has had the pace to stay with him and has to just shore up that consistency, which I'm sure she will be able to do, being a full-time driver for the first time. She comes through in second. Third place is going to be Burt Welly, who's going to race his one and only race this season in race number 1, and he's going to take a podium to boot. Fourth place on track will be Owen Boldero, and he's picked up that place courtesy of the Red Bull behind, taking that 10-second time penalty in the pit lane and not being able to quite catch back up to him. That Red Bull is, of course, going to be Yoni Tevelin, who comes to the line now in 5th. 6th place on track at Leeds will be Angus Jones, and it will be 6th place off track as well, because Regan Harding is going to be 11.7 seconds back despite no penalty, and so this will be Angus to the line to finish off his first APC race in good stead. The top half of the grid, if we're counting the 2 DNFs. Regan Harding around the final corner, one of just 3 drivers to stay penalty free. The other 2 finished top 2. A promising sign then for the Audi, who's taken to medium traction for the first time this race and will be finishing it off in 7th. Then Brian Moore and Connor Stewart-Wood, I'm sure, are going to be fighting down to the final corner of the final lap. Connor is going to be right in the slipstream, tucks out of it just briefly to have a look, but I think that straight line mode is just going to benefit Brian Moore enough that he can jump up right ahead and stay in at that 8th place. They've both got the same amount of penalties, and now they're going to be split on points. 2 points for Brian, 1 point for Connor, and that is the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Yeah, I kept an eye on that battle all through the end there, and it did just absolutely come down to battery management. I'm not sure if Brian realises his battery management is so good. I'm sure he'll join us for an interview, as he always does. He is another thing to mention for Brian. He is an admin in the league now, something that happened in the off-season, so we'll be a chance to catch up with him a little bit later, I'm sure, as we see the podium celebrations there for Andrea Chenkovan, who wins once again here in APC. You never count him out, but Alexis Mason is there in the shadows. She's lurking. She's ready to pick up on any small mistake from Andrea Chenkovan. And we can't forget the fact that Burt Welly, this is his only time, from what we understand, in the reserve in this season. He is a reserve, the official reserve. He has the opportunity to come back later in the season, but it doesn't sound like he's going to be able to. But hopefully we'll see him again. And Owen Boldero picks up a 4th position there. Bit of a lucky one after Yoni Tevelin decided to do a late pit stop.
To clear off that 10-second penalty off his conscience. We do have the fastest lap and the race winner, both going to Andrea Chenkovan, and the driver of the day is going to be, of course, it's going to be Angus Jones to pick that one up. Owen Boldero with the most overtakes, he'll be happy with that one, and his teammate is going to pick up the cleanest driver. Not very often we see Alexis Mason with that cleanest driver moniker, but we are going to be seeing it here today. Who are we going to be bringing in for the interview? We'll just have a look, as I've messed up somewhere. I'll have a look at what I've done, and we'll be seeing the drivers as they are going to come and chat to us in just a few moments at time. There we go. We're going to appear on the screen now, and are we going to be getting anybody in for an interview straight away? Well, we've got 4 drivers into the box, and why not start with the driver at the in the fight right until the very end of the race. Brian, do you want to just talk us through that one?
Oh, that was a lovely battle. That was what I was wanting. The last 2 seasons, when I've been sort of saying, I want to battle Connor, I want to battle Connor, I want to beat Connor. That was just a lovely battle to finally get against him. Honestly, it was one of them things. I feel like maybe he doesn't know the regs as well. I feel like his battery management was just a bit off. He was gaining in places where I was saving battery, then on the straights he was getting there, then losing it. And there was a little bit of argy-bargy near the end of it, but overall that was a really good battle between us, and I really enjoyed it.
I'll leave it to Carl to speak to you about the battery management, because he was very complimentary of you for once. But yeah, I mean, how was it around Bahrain with these new cars? Obviously, we haven't raced in them in APC yet, but how was it to kick off the campaign?
Bahrain is a weird one. I think it's going to be mixed opinions between everyone. I quite enjoyed the race. I wasn't really there. I messed up my strategy a little bit with the fuel, so I was on saving mode for a good portion of the race. But yeah, it felt nice to drive the cars, and I know the battery, as we'll see throughout the season, as drivers will talk about throughout the season, I'm sure, is a bit of an issue on this game. Bahrain didn't feel as bad as I think a lot of people may have. I personally thought Bahrain will be quite bad, but to me, it's probably going to be the nicest race of battery of the season.
Well, we will will see. And of course, we head to Saudi Arabia next up. That'll be the next race that we go to. We go from a well-rounded circuit to one with 27 corners. What are your early thoughts on that?
I really do not like Saudi Arabia. For me, that race is going to be one of, can I keep it out of the wall, which I did not do in season 8, and can I finish in the point? That's really one where if I can keep it out of the wall, I can keep it on the track, I feel like I can possibly score points, because I think a lot of people are going to struggle with the new regs. It's just one which we're going to have to see how people do. I'm not confident, but hopefully I can do something there and score some points again.
Hopefully so. Well, before we let you go, Carl, have you got anything for Brian?
Yeah. I mean, just to confirm for you there, because yeah, you alluded to it there. Connor's battery management was absolutely terrible, and I'm going to tell him that to his face when I next see him. It was. I had your telemetries up. I watched you. I mean, to be honest, you were better, but you were almost too cautious. I feel like you could have used a lot more from what I was seeing. But yeah, Connor had the opportunity. He had overtake boost on you. He had the opportunity to utilize it properly and come past you, and he never did. So, do you think that your practice in the off season helped you really kind of get to grasp with this type of car and how the battery helps? And do you think there's a lot more that you can gain from it as you go through the season?
There's definitely a lot more that everyone will gain from it throughout the season. Racing wheel to wheel with each other is going to be the biggest sort of factor to getting to know it. Obviously, you said I was possibly too cautious. I agree with that point. I didn't really know where to burn in the race. I was trying to work out throughout the race of, is this a spot to burn? Is this a spot to burn? Is this a good? So, and I think that's why I was losing so much time to everyone. But then once I got into Battle Connor, I sort of was picking up on where he was overusing it and where I could use it enough to stay ahead. But I think battery management and just overall feel of the cars is going to be something that throughout the season everyone's going to progress on. I'll be honest, the off season wasn't so much getting used to the cars; it was more of getting used to racing on a wheel rather than a controller anymore.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, actually. Speaking of racing wheel to wheel, I'm glad you found your screw. How was racing on the new wheel today?
Well, I'll be honest, I obviously need to sort the screw out properly to make the power screws in a little bit wider. So that was a little bit annoying, still having to tighten it up on the base throughout the race. It was only really the pit stop I needed to do that. But it felt really good. It's incredibly warm in my room, so I'm sweating a lot after that, but it felt really good to be racing on it, and it felt a lot more comfortable than sort of sitting there laid back with the control. It's actually having to focus more, I think, did better for me.
Yeah, definitely helps out. And you think it's warm in your room? You should switch to PC and then come back to me on that, because that makes a room warm. But that's the next step for you, I'm sure. Will now, PC later. But great job today, Brian. Of course, I'm sure you'd be wanting to be higher up the order, but you weren't last, and you showed some good racing and some good craft today. So I'm sure we'll see more from you as we go through the season. But thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And that was Brian Moore, and he does raise an interesting point about managing everything, and it will be interesting to see how he does throughout the course of the season. As he took a couple of laps today to kind of learn what he could do, and then he progressed from there, which is it's good. It shows temperament. Next into the box is somebody who may well need to have a look at that one, as of course, it didn't last too long ultimately in the race. Luca Seracini, do you want to just talk us through that one?
I have no idea what happened, to be honest. I mean, I was doing practice, not a lot of it, but I was doing consistently 28 ones, 28 twos in my little practice runs. And I was in the little practice lobby, and I was very slightly slower than Owen, but quicker than a lot of other people on hards and mediums. But I heard everyone was running higher wings, and in my setup, I was running 50-27, and then before quali, I changed to 50-37 instead of 27, and I was just a second and a half slower, maybe even a second, just every single lap. So I don't know what happened there. And then I came into the race. I don't actually know what happened to us. I was kind of wasn't four wide, but it was just a big gaggle of cars, and I saw someone up my inside, so then I switched to the inside after them. And then it was just my fault, to be honest. I just kind of clipped their rear, and then I kind of panicked on the throttle, spun out, hit the wall. And then I was already like 8 seconds behind, so I was kind of just pushed, see if I could do whatever. And then I spun, got stuck in the wall, and then got disqualified. So, yeah.
Yeah, it did seem to be a weird disqualification, but well, it was apparently, according to Carla, a common thing on this game, so you should have known. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it was it didn't seem to be the greatest race for you. Do you think it was down then to that last minute setup switch?
I mean, I'm testing it now to see if I'm at a similar pace, and I literally just changed the wing and done a practice run, and I'm 1.2 seconds quicker with the old one. So obviously, I don't know if it was that or it genuinely was just me being really bad in quality, but I think a lot of it was down to that.
And then to Saudi Arabia next week, another race with high wings. What are the early feelings on that circuit?
Well, I'm on holiday, so no feelings.
Well, you are one of the only people to potentially not have any feelings on Saudi Arabia, whether the racetrack or otherwise. That's all from me. Carl, have you got any questions for Luca before we let him go?
Yeah, well, it'd be disappointing to not see you next week. But yeah, I briefly caught that incident. Yeah, I mean, you say obviously going higher wings was the struggle, but it did look like you struggled to keep the rear end in check there. So it's difficult to say whether it was down to the wing or not. But of course, as you reversed the wrong way down track, it obviously disqualified you there. But I guess just it's a long season ahead of us. We obviously expect to see a bit more pace from you, I think is fair to say, than where you were when the incident happened. But do you think going forward, you do have more pace? Is it the track, or do you think this is going to be your pace for the rest of this season?
I'm not too sure, because usually Bahrain's one of my best tracks, but I'm still learning no traction control, so that's why I keep having the little snaps with the rear and all this. But I don't actually know what track I'm going to be back for, but Saudi would have actually been a pretty good one for me because it's not massively relying on traction. It's more just like high speed and battery management. So that would have been fine. But I think I'm just going to slowly get better. It's not even a case of like track dependent. I think even if I'm pretty bad at a track, say at the end of the season, I'll be a lot stronger than I was here, for example.
Yeah, well, we've seen you turn assist or down before and then slowly build that speed back up. So if you've done it once before, I am confident that you'll better do it again. I'll be looking forward to seeing you at least trying to battle for a podium later on in the season. Fingers crossed for you, bud. Thanks very much for your time. As always, you always come and join us in the booth, and we enjoy talking to you. But hopefully, we'll see you when you're back off your holiday.
Thank you both.
There we go. That was Lucas Erosini, and next into the box we're going to bring in Owen Boldero, who Mr. P4 himself. You've done it again. That's if he's here. In fact, Owen, can you hear us? Nope. Wonderful. We'll bring Alexis Mason in. Oh, he's back.
Oh,
Hello? It didn't
Yes.
connect me for some reason. Right, I'm back.
That's fine. All I said was that, well, Mr. P4 has done it again. Talk us through it.
I'm going to be honest, I don't really have anything to say other than I nearly cannonballed my teammate into a wall. Yeah, I don't really have anything to say. I just kind of existed in that race from like lap 10 onwards. I was just racing for myself. Like, I had nothing to do. There was no one around me. Once I got past Regan in the second stint, it was just kind of from there, making sure the tyres survived. But yeah, pretty dull race on my end, but I finish in the only place I can in this league, apparently.
Yeah, it did seem to be one that, I mean, you gained a place late on due to a penalty for a driver further up. Do you think that your target that race heading into it, do you think you were aiming for kind of around that position? I know you spoke to us before, but I know that sometimes the interviews won't necessarily be representative because some people hold back their pace.
Top 5 is always my goal. Just somewhere around there would always be nice. I mean, I didn't really have any clue where I stacked up, but from the races I have done on this game, I always kind of find myself in no man's land, and even if I hadn't nearly clarted my teammate into a wall, I still probably would have been in no man's land come the end of the race. So yeah, I just kind of, it was where I expected realistically.
now that we've had one race of the season with a couple of our new drivers, and obviously you have competed against a couple of the other newer drivers, is that P5 target going to stay for the whole season? And in terms of the standings, whereabouts are you feeling as though it would be a good season?
Well, I realistically, it's probably going to be P4, P5 in the standings again this season. I was lucky to get third last season. It was actually a very, very good season for me. I wasn't expecting to do that well, but yeah, probably fourth or fifth in the standings is where I'd like to go for. I mean, it seems like in races I've got a little bit of a jump in pace over those that were close to me in quali, like Elin, Luca, sort of those guys. It seems I have a little bit of pace over them in races, so probably P4, P5. I'm not going to beat Alexis. I'm not going to beat the new guy Yoni, and there's no chance in any universe I beat Chenky. So yeah, probably sort of P4, P5 is where I'll end up being.
And in terms of, obviously, we know you enjoyed racing alongside your teammate last time, Ollie. How's it been racing alongside Alexis?
Yeah, good. We shared a lot of information in that race with each other, which was quite useful. And Alexis at one point was actually holding the guys behind to try and let me catch up a little bit after my my outbreaking myself, let's say. So yeah, that was useful. But yeah, I think we'll be able to work together quite nicely this season. And I think there is a chance for a constructors this season if things go in our favour with Andrea Chenkovan not having a teammate at the moment.
Well, shared information, and also tried to share the same piece of track as well with your teammate at one point.
Exactly.
That's going to be it from me. Carl, have you got anything for Owen before we let him go?
Annoyingly, he answered my question, but I'll just delve into it a bit more. So, when you're not climbing your teammate and you're actually working together, do you think there's a chance at the team's championship? I mean, how likely do you think that is? I mean, we don't know what Paige's pace is like yet, because of course she was meant to be here. We don't know where she is today, so we don't know Paige's pace. That being Andrew Chenkovan's teammate. But you got more of a chance this season than you had this season, last season. Apologies, with Ethan Shackleton not being around anymore.
Yeah, I think the chances are probably a little higher than me and Ollie. The issue with me and Ollie sometimes, me and Ollie worked really well together, but we were so close together on track most of the time. On strategy, we occasionally ended up tripping each other up because we were usually within a few seconds of each other, whereas me and Alexis, we're not really close to each other on track, so our strategies aren't usually going to collide. Like Alexis in practice was talking about from the very start going for hard tyres, whereas like there's no chance I'm going for hards at the start. I need to do a medium hard in order to be able to make it to the end of the race. So yeah, I think there's a higher chance because we're going to be able to work together, but we're not going to get in each other's way and sort of lock horns in that way, if you know what I mean.
Is there any other team that you think might be to look out for? Of course, Burt, well, he was only filling in today, so Burt doesn't think he'll be doing any more races this season. So the Aston Martins perhaps not as formidable as perhaps they might have looked today. We don't know what Ollie Corlett's pace is going to be like. He was towards the back last season, but a lot can change in the off season. I know he does a lot of other leagues, so he could have improved. Angus was there or thereabouts. Wasn't his best showings, but I'm sure we might see more from him. And obviously the Audis and McLaren seemed to be quite far back. Well, Edin was a little bit further up, but she decided to quit in the pit lane, unfortunately. But yeah, any other teams you think you need to look out for this season?
So Ferrari, obviously, because Andrea Chenkovan is there. Like you said, we haven't seen the Chenky's teammate at Ferrari's pace yet. But the other one I have my eyes on actually is Red Bull, because obviously they've got Yoni who raced today, who would have been on the podium had it not been for that 10-second. But they've also obviously got Paul Garung, and Paul Garung, when he was strong last season, was on the podium challenging for wins. He got a win in a sprint, I believe. Was it Kota? So Red Bull are probably, depending on the pace of Chenky's teammate, would be the ones I have my eyes on at the moment.
Yeah, I think you're probably about right. But looking forward to seeing as we go through this season what that's going to look like. But yeah, thanks as always. Well done on another P4. It's becoming a bit of a joke at this point that you actually, for people,
It's a curse.
It is a curse, and people can't actually see it that we can see. But your actual name on Discord was changed to Mr. P4 himself, because it is becoming such a normality for you. But thanks as always for giving us your time, and you eventually got into the booth there. And we look forward to doing it all again next week.
Yeah, see you later, guys.
Owen Boldero there, and well, we're going to bring in his teammate now, and I believe this may well be the last interview we have today. So Alexis Mason into the box. Do you want to just talk us through that one?
Like, first stint was Brian maintain with. Well, I didn't care about Chenky. Chenky was written out. I'm not good around Bahrain. But my plan was to try and maintain P2, like P2, P3, and stick with P2, which I'm surprised I was so close in the first couple of laps. I was definitely a bit willy-nilly on my battery in the first 3 laps just to keep up because the hards had no temperature. And having clutch issues on the formation lap did not help as well. I could not get my clutch. So I couldn't do the formation lap. Literally in that formation lap, I was sorting out my clutch, which was lovely. And then second stint was just get ahead of Bert and then just relax to the line because the Red Bull had a 10-second. But then what I'm surprised is the Red Bull pitting, which ultimately cost them a position overall. I don't know why that was a choice, but it helped my teammate out, which boosted us up in the constructors.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And about that constructors, we just asked Owen a second ago, but we'll ask you again. What are the chances?
I think it's pretty good. It just depends on how much my uni affects it. So I got into uni, I'm not arrived yet. So would I be having some missed races? Would I not? I don't know because I definitely know internet might be what I might struggle with. Might have to do some hotspot races.
I've just seen Carl grimace. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how that one goes. For the next race at Saudi Arabia, I assume you won't have moved in yet, but how are you feeling
No.
about that?
Saudi Arabia, I like the track. I don't like 3-second time penalties around the track because if you remember back to last season, I finished first and got a 3-second time penalty, which demoted me to P2. So I'm going to see if I can go challenge for the win. Of course, Taiwan is preferable for me around Saudi over here because it's much more straightforward in the strategy. So we'll see where we go from there. Maybe do some more hard mediums because fun race at the end and fun race at the beginning fighting with the Red Bull and the Aston Martin.
Well, fun's the most important part at the end of the day, regardless of what everybody else says. That'll be it from me. Carl, have you got anything before we let Alexis go?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you say, oh, there's no point going after Andrew Chenkovan, but we saw you in Saudi, especially last year. That was the first time you joined us, and you were quicker. I mean, as you say, you were demoted on penalty, but next race is that race all over again. So, I mean, yes, Andrew Chenkovan is really fast, but is there some part of you somewhere that believes that there is a strong, or maybe even some possibility of taking the Drivers' Championship this season?
Depends on. I've not really had a great deal look at the calendar. Let's have a look at the calendar. Good around. The only time I've raced Andrea Chengovan around Miami, I beat him. Canada. Can we skip Canada? I do not like Canada.
You can.
Well, no, I can't. I'm a full-time driver.
Correct answer.
Yeah, we like that.
If I have to miss Austria, I will cry.
Yeah, but
I
I think
might-
we all will.
I like Austria. Silverstone, Belgium, Netherlands, Italy. Oh, we not do Madrid. Last time I raced Madrid, I had so many tech issues. And then Texas, good track. Mexico, retards will die. Brazil, I don't like. And then we finish out with Qatar, which means if I'm going to win the championship, I have to wrap it up in Brazil.
Fair enough. Well, we don't have to go through the calendar on the stream now, as you've done that for us. But yeah, look, I think that there's a good chance. And I'm looking forward to seeing you race Andrew Jenkovan once again. You were the closest to him last season when you did race. But it looks like we've got another competitor in the mix with Yorny. So the three of you, I'm sure, will be battling it out as we go through the season. I'm looking forward to seeing how you get on. But thanks very much for joining us as always. Well done on a good, strong P2 today. And we look forward to speaking to you again after Saudi next week.
See ya.
Alexis Mason there, who picked up her first podium of the season. And, well, that's going to be it for our interviews. Carl, do you want to just give us your final thoughts before we round off for round one?
Yeah, I think it was a good showing for Ian Qualley from the brand new driver in the league, Yorny. I keep trying to say the wrong Yorny because there's a different Yorny, as I'm sure many of the viewers will know very well. It has a very similar name. But from the new driver Yorny, Tivelin. Looked very good in quali. If it wasn't for that crash, may well have been able to get a faster lap in towards the end of the session. So unfortunate for him. We will never know now whether he'd have got a faster time in, but it was still very, very close at the end. I think it was 3,000. Said it correctly that time. 3,000 towards the end of the session there. So I think we're yet to see him really unleash his pace on Andrew Chenkovan. So really good to see Alexis Mason, of course. We expected Alexis to be the closest competitor to Andrew Chenkovan this season before Yorny joined. And she is proving that. Going rogue on the strategies, and she said she's going to do similar next week. So we'll be looking to see if her strategies are going to pay off, or if that's going to be her undoing. As we know what Andrew Jacobs like, he always pulls those strategies off. Somehow he always knows the right thing to do. I said earlier he boxed a little bit too early. Did he? No, of course he didn't. So we'll see. Mr. P4 himself, absolutely proving where he should be. But with Bert Welly not being here next week and for the foreseeable, could that translate into more podiums for Owen Baldero? We will wait and see. It was a great battle between Connor and Brian Moore towards the back of the track. And a quiet race for the rest of the field. But a great way to start the season.
Certainly feels as though with Bert Welly leaving, that's going to give... There's a gap there for somebody to promote themselves and fill into. It was a great way to start the season here at Bahrain. And, next up, we are going to be heading to Saudi Arabia for round number 2 of the season, and that should be a very, very good race indeed. We've got it coming up next week out, and then we will head to the Americas for 3 and 4. But my name is Joseph Black, alongside me has been Kyle SW, and until next time, it is goodbye. Underway. Stamps' authority once again.
My word, this could go wrong.
On the brakes, goodness me, what a launch!
Look at that.
It just all comes down to this.